Hello, my name is Ortaria Pittman, and I am here once again with my cousin Lisa Williams. She is the other voice that you are going to hear reading scriptures for us today. Today, we are coming back with another video to just discuss some of the questions that we encounter just on a regular basis. One of them is entitled, I am angry with you, or am I angry with you? Question mark. So, how many times have we been angry, with someone and then thought to ourselves, is my anger justified? Like, do I have the right to be angry with the individual, or how does God judge this situation? If we have not pondered these type questions, then I actually encourage all of us to do so. So one thing that we're going to touch on is how Paul tells us that we actually should ponder these questions, very often. And anytime that we have questions, being a Christian, I'm going to go to the source of the authority, which in this case is always going to be the oracles of God, the Bible. Okay. So Paul tells us that we should ponder this very often. We see in Galatians 5:19 through 21, how he says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, reveling, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, and they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So, all of these things that have been outlined by the Apostle Paul are the types of things that we have to compare our anger against. Now, if we are angry because of these things, then we are justified in that anger, because all of these things actually go against God. If we are angry and it's not one of these things, then we need to seek further the counsel of God in order to see if our anger is actually righteous or unrighteous. So again, it is healthy to ponder and compare our lives against the sins described in the passage. There are times where the answer is not so clear to us at first, then we must dig to get the correct answer. God has given us all the things we need in this life to succeed. And if we seek, we shall find it. So the one thing we must remember is our purpose on this earth: to serve God and others before ourselves. If we go into anything with the right attitude, it will be easier to make the right decision. Matthew 22:37 through 40 says, Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. So, in these scriptures, this conditions the heart to always approach issues with humility, reason, and thoughtfulness. We have to always check our heart against what God says, or else we have deceived ourselves to be vexed with someone and they have not broken any law. So, in this particular context, God is warning us that we have to love, God first and foremost with all that we have. And then secondly, we have to have that same type of love in regards to our neighbors. So of course, these are going to be people that are not family members. These are going to be people, that we don't necessarily know, but we are to love them as being human beings, as being the creation of God. So in these scriptures, it is basically conditioning us. If we love them in the proper respect and manner, then it's going to be very hard for us to have unrighteous anger towards them. We're always going to, kind of check ourselves against, what God says. Okay, so let's continue here. God warns against any types of anger that are the opposite of being righteous. I'm just going to repeat that, make sure that we understand. God warns us against having the type of anger that is not righteous. So there is something called unrighteous anger. This means that you don't have a justification to be angry, with the individual. They have not broken God's law. And this is the type of warning that God, is trying to warn us about. So here's an example. We are actually going to go to Romans 14, 1 through 23. Now, my cousin is going to read Romans 14, and she's going to read 1 through 23 for us, so that we will have a good understanding of what Paul is writing to these brethren. And she's muted, but she will unmute.
I'm sorry. Did you say Romans 14?
Romans 14, and then 1 through 23.
1, 2, 3.
1 through 23.
1 through 23?
Yes.
1 through
Does it read, as for the one who is weak in faith? Is that how it starts off?
That's how it starts off, because
Okay.
you gave me previously.
Okay.
You gave me 14, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's okay. Sorry about that. We're gonna go out, just start reading, and then I'll tell you where to stop, because we probably ain't gonna cover the whole thing. So just start there for me.
But not to doubtful disputations. For one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. Let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not. Let not him which eateth judge him that eateth, for God hath received him.
Hello. I just wanted to stop the recording here for just a moment to just expound a little bit on that scripture that I just broke down. I just want to explain that we are not referring to lifestyle preferences that have to do with anything that God has called sinful. So we are not saying that the brethren should be okay with anything that is sinful. Homosexuality, fornication, lying, slander, cheating, stealing, anything that has to do with sin. That is not what Paul is talking about here. We are only talking about lifestyle preferences, such as, moderate clothing choices, food choices. One brother may be vegetarian, another brother may love meat. Those type differences, how they wear their hair, anything that is not sinful, you know what I mean? So I just want to stop that for a second, just to clarify on that. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So here is what Paul is warning us about. Thank you for that, cousin. So he's basically saying that we are different. We're going to differ in our opinions. We're going to differ in our lifestyle choices. The things that we eat, the way that we live our lives, but this should not destroy our relationships with one another. So instead of being, insulted and outraged at, some of the choices that we make, or the fact that we're different, we should embrace those changes and esteem one another, as he says here, as a strength instead of a weakness. Because a lot of people, they get offended because people are not like them, and that is unrighteous judgment. Actually, God says he made us different, for his reasons, and so those things are to be celebrated. It's not a mistake. So that's what he's writing about here. Okay. The next thing that we're going to talk a little bit further about is going to be found in James 1:19 through 20. So my cousin is actually going to read James 1 verses 19 and 20, and we're going to read about, how God views a person who is just what we would call a hothead. They are just quick, to get into disputes and get angry really quickly. So she's going to read that for us.
Okay. It says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's exactly right. What James, and James is the brother of Christ, what James is writing in his letter is a warning, to all brethren, or everyone, who is following Christ's law, which should be everybody that is on this side of the cross. Okay. But what he is saying here is that let every man be quick to hear. So be very understanding of what you're listening to, and slow to judgment, slow to speak, slow to wrath, anger. Wrath is just anger. And he says, for the anger of man is not the righteousness of God. So that's not pleasing to God. If you are one of those who are easily offended, then I challenge you and encourage you to dig into these scriptures to see how God views that. And this is just a summation of it here. God does not like that. We should have a thick skin, and we should not be so judgmental to the point to where everything offends us. Because if that's the case, you're never going to see the beauty of life. You're never going to see the beauty of your life lessons. And so that is a reason why James is warning the brethren here. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to go into is going to be Ephesians. So we're going to go back to the book of Ephesians here, and we're going to actually talk a little bit about this anger issue again. So that's going to be Ephesians 4 25 through 26, because God gives us rules about this anger, and this is just how quickly he wants us to snuff out issues. So my cousin will read that for us.
Okay. Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be angry, sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
Yes, exactly. So here, this is a letter that is going to Ephesus to warn those brethren about, some of the things that are going on. Put away the lying. We need to speak truth to every person, not just our family members, people we love, but the people that we don't know. We have to love them. And so a part of our love process is to speak the truth to them. We don't just tell them myths and fables and things of that nature to appease them. No, you tell them the truth. Why? For we are members of one another, because we all dwell on this earth that was designed for all of us. And if it comes to a point to where you are actually angry, like they have broken a law of some sort, you can be angry, but don't sin against them. Don't you break a law as well, with your anger. Don't let the sun go down upon your anger. Don't let it consume you to the point to where it stops you, from your happiness, because we should always be joyous on being a Christian, because we know where our hope is. We know that we have the ear of the Lord listening to us in our petitions. The Bible actually mentions several times, to pray for your enemies, and don't do evil for evil, things of that nature. So this is just another example of what God is saying. This is how you handle conflict. Okay. So we're going to go to Proverbs 14, 16 through 17. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how God feels about this anger, because that's very important. Proverbs 14, 16 through 17 is going to help us to break this down just a little bit further, because we must get this in our understanding. And God says it so many times, because this is a big issue in mankind. And this is one of our weaknesses. So the only way we overcome weaknesses is to deal with it, to educate ourselves about it, deal with it, and then be on the lookout for it. So let's go to Proverbs 14, 16 through 17. My cousin is going to unmute and read that.
Wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rages and is confident. He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated.
Yes. So God is saying that if you are wise, then you're going to fear evil and you're going to depart from it. He's not saying fear evil and then still, sit close next to it. No, he says the wise man fears and then leaves from evil. And the fool is the one that rages and is confident, in his arrogance. He that is soon angry, he deals foolishly, meaning his actions are going to cause him to do stupid things. And a man of wicked devices is now hated. Okay, that is very important to keep in our memory. God is saying anger will bring down foolishness upon you, if you are not careful. That's why these scriptures are here to warn us that we must be very careful. Okay. So the next place that we're going to go, we're going to stay in Proverbs, but we're going to go to Proverbs 22 and 24. And we're going to see what else God says, the warnings that he's talking about here when it comes to anger yet again. So Proverbs 22 and 24 is where she's going to read now.
Okay. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go.
Yep. So further, he is telling us, don't be friends with an angry man, an angry individual. They are toxic. He's telling us not to go with them because it's contagious. You may think that you have so much positivity that you will sway this individual. You will not. So this is what God is saying. If you know people like this that are just angry all the time and they don't see the positives, then, don't go with them. Let them alone to their own devices. God will deal with them. You just maintain your distance. Okay. All right. The next place we're going to see what else God says about this is going to be Proverbs 29 and 11.
A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in to afterwards.
This is very important. A foolish person is a person who speaks without thinking, is what this scripture is saying. And he says all the things that he thinks. He does not filter anything. He just spews it out. I'm pretty sure we have found ourselves being that foolish mindset or, tripping up that way. I think people phrase it as, I put my foot in my mouth. Yes, this is what God is saying. The wise man is the one that is going to listen. And he's not going to speak until the whole matter has been revealed. That way, he makes a full judgment based off of everything he has heard. Okay, so that is very important. All right, the next place we're going to go to is Proverbs 29 and just go down to 22. Okay. And you are muted. Okay.
An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression.
Yes. There you go. Yes, thank you. That is so true. The anger man, he does nothing positive. An angry man does nothing but stir up strife. He's toxic. All he does is infect others with this same strife. And strife is just conflict. So he stirs up conflict amongst the people. People who probably weren't thinking like he was. They were contented, happy, and just having a good little time. But then he comes in and he stirs up strife and he takes away their peace. And a furious man abounds in transgression, meaning he makes many mistakes. So there's nothing good that can come about this type of attitude. And God is saying that this type of attitude only leads to more transgression. And we know that transgression is sin. Okay. All right. So we're going back to the New Testament to kind of sum everything up and finish everything off. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 5. We're going to see what Paul has to say about the attributes that we should have. Again, that's going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 5.
So in 5. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, and is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil.
Perfect. Yes. So Paul is writing, to these brethren in Corinth, and he's actually telling them what the Christian mindset is to be. We are to be full of charity, and charity is not what in this particular case, charity is not what we see today. It's that and more. So this type of charity, it suffers long, okay, and it is kind. All right, it does not envy. It doesn't vain against itself. It's not puffed up. So meaning when you do things for people, or you do things that are not for you, that is for another cause or for the Lord, then it's going to sometimes be long, strenuous. Sometimes it's going to be difficult. It may not be easy, but we know that it is worth it. So that's why this type of charity, it is very kind, and it's not of itself. It is very selfless, and basically it is not a pushover. It's not easily provoked. It thinks no evil. So it basically is just trying to be as righteous as possible, as righteous can be. So in this particular example here, we see the type of mindset that we should have, when it comes down to the work in the kingdom. This is the attitude that we should have. It's not about one individual. It's about us as a collective. As long as the work gets done, it doesn't matter, who did it and who finished it, who started it. Just as long as it gets completed, we all get the prize, being the kingdom. So when it's talking about charity in this regard, it's talking about how we work together as a unit, to serve our fellow neighbors, brethren, and the Lord. So the next one that we're going to go to here, it's going to be found in Colossians 3, 8 through 9. And my cousin is going to read that for us, because we need to know a little bit more about some of the things that can get us in trouble. Again, that's going to be in Colossians 3, 8 through 9.
But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds.
Yes, thank you. That is beautiful. Again, I don't know how many times God has to say it, but he repeats it quite a bit. So apparently this is one of those that is very hard, for people to understand. So we will repeat it as well. But now you are to put off these things: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy. Blasphemy is putting ourselves on the level with God in any way, shape, or form. We cannot think for him. We cannot think like him. We can only think of the things that he has shown us, and that's it. We cannot go any further than that. Filthy communication out of your mouth, all the cursing, the swear words, all of those things, that are unbecoming of a human. We are to refrain from those things. We are not to lie to one another, yet again, saying that you have put off the old man with his deeds. And basically what they're saying is you are no longer a slave to sin. Whenever you come into the kingdom and become a Christian, you are no longer, that lost soul. You are no longer that old person. You are a new creature in Christ. So this is why he words it in this way. And this is, for the Christian to understand some of the things that can become hindrance to us. We have to be mindful not to do these things. So one of the last verses that we're going to go to today, well, the next to last verse is going to be found in Matthew 5:21 through 24, because here we're going to talk a little bit more about the consequences of being angry without justification from God. And I think this is really the gist of this entire piece, because so many times people think that their feelings, justify being angry, or they feel like their logic justifies their anger, and that is just not so. So my cousin is going to read Matthew 5:21 through 24 to give us an understanding as to what God says about anger. And again, that was Matthew 5:21 through 24. And you're muted. Oh, try it again, dear. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you. Keep that. I don't know. But anyhow, we're in Romans 12, verse 19.
No, we're actually in just about, we'll be there in just a second. So put your marker there. Let's go real quick to Matthew 5:21 through 24.
Okay. Okay. Matthew 5:21 through 24.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hell fire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembers that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come with offer thy gift.
Perfect. Yes. This is saying a lot, but it is very, very pertinent, because what God is saying here is that if your brother has tried to get forgiveness, from you, and you are just, not yielding to them at all, this is not right. This is not righteous, and this is not the way that God would have it to be. God is saying, do not come and worship me until you fix that issue that you have with your brother. You cannot properly worship me when there is an issue that you need to straighten out. So that's why he is saying, leave your gift before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Get that right first, so that your worship will be acceptable unto me. God cannot allow your worship to be acceptable when you have issues that are left open on the table. So, it's one of those things that brotherly kindness, brotherly love. We have to love them enough, to make everything right. That needs to be right. We cannot delay this process because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. You must get this right, now, while today is still today, and then, get your worship to God in there as well. So it's a lot of responsibility that we have, but it makes perfect sense, because again, we don't know the hour when Christ may come back as well. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this, and we will be dismissed for the day. But my cousin is going to read Romans 12 and 19, and this just gives us, the final say of the Lord.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord.
Yes. So a lot of the time when we are angry and things of that nature, there are many instances where we need to give it to God. And this is the gist of this piece. Everything does not require a response, especially if it's going to lead to a foolish discussion, a foolish debate, and or you have done nothing wrong. Okay. A lot of the time in those situations, give it to God and let God repay, because God is the ultimate rewarder of those who, do things that are contrary to his will. Okay. He says, you do not want to be the adversary of God. Okay. So God can do things that you could never do. So in this instance, you must trust and have faith that God will see you through. Hold your head up and, forget about it, because God will take care of that in due season. So back to the original question, am I angry or, am I angry? That is still one that is a case by case situation. You're going to have to square with that. But here's all the scriptures here that should help you to make your decision. Put love first, and again, only use facts. From what we have been reading here, you must have facts. We cannot go off of hearsay. We cannot go off of filthy communications. That means gossip and things of that nature. It must be something that you can confirm and or that they have broken God's law in order for you to have righteous anger. If not, then you may want to reconsider, friends. We love you. We appreciate you for coming and listening to us. God bless you. And until next time, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay, let me